Hey guys, Sean, Lessons Over Dummies. Tippmann TMC. I'm going to test the MWR Paintball bolt, which is this guy right here. This is a 3D printed product from a Canadian company. It has an O-ring seal in the rear. It doesn't specifically say it's going to increase velocity or anything along those lines, but it was designed to better feed FSR in paintball. So it's something I haven't tried. So I'm going to test it against my
Killhouse TMC bolt,
which up to this point has produced the best numbers. And I do want to talk about something at the end if you hang around, because I've put enough rounds through this now, and the behavior that I'm starting to notice, I think I am on to the solution. Whoops. Still got 2,000 PSI left. Forgot to cock it. Yeah, anyways, hang around the end. I want to talk about kind of what's going on with this particular marker. I mean, all these launchers have pros and cons, and this one is no different. 14-inch line claw, heavy drive spring, a light valve spring, pinned hammer, polished insides, drilled valve, 1100 PSI with only 2000 PSI left in the bottle, of course. And I'm going to use Byrna Kinetics today. So I have 10 loaded up in here. Chrono check. $482. Byrna Kinetics are 2.9 grams. $476. $476. $470. And we'll do a couple more. $474. I think we're gonna go, should I go with the high or the low? We'll go with the low. 470. So I had two 470s, one 482, somewhere in between. I had a couple there. All right. That should be it. That is all. Let me switch the bolt, and we will try for better numbers.
Well, I got you guys here. Here's something that I've been noticing lately. As I've been monkeying with my TMC. So I've used thread tape here. From the factory, they use like a paste, like Loctite essentially. And I think I might be actually getting air loss right there, because it appears to be blowing the tape out. Now, I don't audibly hear anything leaking, but this is something I'm going to have to keep an eye on. Let's swap the bolts. So I'll quickly do this. Won't make it long and tedious for you guys. Factory bolt. So factory bolt has an O-ring on the tip. Oh, sorry, this isn't a factory bolt. Oh my gosh, totally screwed up. This is a Killhouse bolt, not the factory bolt. The factory bolt doesn't have an O-ring seal in the back, but it does have this forward ring here, O-ring. Theory is, this O-ring seal in the rear stops air from being wasted blowing back down your power tube here. And obviously the forward O-ring is when it meets up with the barrel that it seals up and all your air is going down the barrel. So far this Killhouse one has performed the best. It was just an El Cheapo bolt, but it has dual seals. And here is the MWR Paintball. It has a rear seal, no forward seal, but look at the taper on this. It's a lot different. And it also has a cutout here. This is to prevent clips. So when you're feeding FSR, sometimes the bolt can tend to grab the next one and flip or clip or chop, whatever you want to call it. So to compare these side by side, let's just see. So I'm going to try and put the holes in about the same place, which is right about there. They are the same length this way, but the MWR bolt is shorter in the rear section, which I don't think matters, to be honest. As long as that doesn't break the seal on the end, we should all be good. And actually, this power tube here, I don't know if you've ever taken your TMC apart, you'll notice this front tip here is kind of flared a little bit. I don't know if that's on purpose or that's just from it blowing air out all the time. So actually catching right on the end might be a good thing. So let me just slip it on here. I should probably put a little lube on this, since it is the first time using it. Let's see how it fits. Well, definitely fits a little snugger. Not a bad thing. I always like them tight. Okay, let's just throw this back together here. There we go. Next time you're gonna see it, it's gonna be all one piece. All right, let's load this magazine up. And I am still using that winderless mag, and you can tell because it's got that all-seeing eyeball there. It just rolls around. But it does have those two little tabs on there, so this can't come out of the magazine. So 10 Byrna kinetics. I lost track. I lost count already. There we go.
Giving this its best chance, I refilled the tank to 3,000. Stock marker this time. Aired up. Byrna kinetics on board, 2.9 grams. MWR Paintball bolt. Killhouse bolt. We had a high of 482, which was like 31 joules. And we had a low of 470, which is 29.5, 30 joules if you're rounding up. Pretty consistent. $466. $464. $458. $458. $444. Yeah. Well, that's pretty obvious. Again, I wasn't expecting it to be some magic bolt, but I had to try. Guess that was it. Okay, let's, I'll just throw this on the table quick and we'll just have a little chat if you hung around long enough and maybe you want to learn something that I've learned. And hopefully that I can rectify. I haven't seen anybody try this, but it might work. All right, first things first. This bolt did 28, 29 joules. This bolt did 30, 31. It's still good. It's still good, guys. And honestly, I misspoke in the beginning there and said factory bolt.
And I really should test it against a factory bolt, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I have. And these bolts with the rear O-ring, I can't even tell if you guys can. Yeah, the rear O-ring is more important than the front O-ring. But having both is even better. If you can find these, I got this from a Canadian company. Crap, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, never mind. I'll toss it in the bottom there. Right here. Anyways, this is where I got it. It was discontinued, but I think Ann's Gear might still have this, not under the Killhouse name, if you so choose. But here's what I was going to talk about. So I've been shooting this TMC a long time with an upgraded, with a heavy drive spring. Let me just take it out here quick. Heavy drive spring. So that's what's in behind here. And there you can see it there. And a light valve spring, which is inside here, which I won't show you, but you can see in many of the other videos. What I've found, this marker did really well at one point. 37 joules of energy is what I got. But what I found over time is that number drop until it settles kind of where it is right about now. But what you don't know is the reason I chose those Byrna Kinetics, and I've spoke about this before, why some markers like lighter balls than heavier balls, even though we want to shoot heavier balls. This bolt is only moving forward by the linkage here, driven by the hammer and by this spring. When this spring weakens, heavier balls are harder to push. And I've always talked about the momentum carrying that, getting that ball going helps with the overall velocity. And in a blow forward marker, that never really changes because you have a firing pin and there is an immense amount of pressure, air pressure, pushing that, smacking that bolt forward. Whereas in this case, this is all that's doing it. So as the spring wears, this marker, as it stands, as you just saw it tested, 31 joules with the Byrna Kinetic, only tested like 24 joules with an 8-gram projectile. So the biggest hang up is these springs, no matter which spring you use. I have some factory ones or some Tech T ones right here. They just weaken. And the reason is because this marker, and many other blow forward markers, First Strike T15 is no different. A long time ago, I dealt with one of those. We're storing them sort of ready to go, I guess you could say. So I keep a mag loaded in. And if you don't cock the marker to save your drive spring, you flatten your detent, wherever it is here. Right here. You flatten this detent. And you can see I'm running a John Wixon detent. These are the best detents in the business, and it still gets flattened because this bolt is literally just pressing it shut. So you have two options. You leave the marker cocked, which weakens your drive spring, or you leave it uncocked, which flattens your detent. And then of course, the second you pull that charge handle back, all your balls go shooting out the front, and well, that's no good. Kind of a cheat was the MCS lock bolt. I found it saved, it left the drive spring half cocked, but it didn't run into my detent. And my velocity stayed in the upper range for longer after storage. Problem is, that broke. I lost a spring. I tried replacing it with some springs I had. They were too tough, too light, too short, whatever it is. I should probably just get another one from MCS, but I have a concern there, and that is, well, I had a MCS lock bolt in my TIPX, and the more you increase, well, in my case, I'm going to increase the drive spring. It literally sheared off the lock bolt in my TIPX. And it's kind of what happened here is this heavy drive spring is just whacking that lock bolt, and it kind of pried it up, and the spring was able to pop out. What is the answer? Well, the answer was staring me right in the face the whole time, wherever that dry spring went. The problem is it's not the spring material or anything itself, it's a spring size. Like, this thing is dinky. I mean, look at an FSC spring, right? And these things are pretty much under tension all the time, but you don't really notice any huge drops in velocity like I have with this after it's been hanging on the wall for, you know, a week, and then I pull it out to shoot it. So the answer is, at least I'm hoping it is, bigger dry spring, but it's not that simple. Because, well, I'll show you here. Now, FSC dry spring, right? Or bolt spring. Should be that simple. Just shove it in there. It almost fits. You know, I could make it fit. But you can see, here's your sear right here. It's going to interfere with this. So when you slides your hammer forward and tries to rebound, it's going to be hung up on this. You can see what just happened right there. It's like, that's not going to work, right? So my idea is, well, I had this Tech T hammer, lightened hammer here. I'm gonna run a big ass spring in the back. This isn't the right spring, but this is the only spring I have right now. So this is what I'm gonna test. It won't interfere with the sear because of where it's centered in the middle here. Ideally, a more suitable diameter spring would be ideal here. My concern is I have tested this hammer versus the factory hammer, and the heavier hammer does win. More striking force, it's more inertia hitting your valve pin. It's also more inertia trying this little tiny spring, trying to press your ball in and swing this hammer. So I'm thinking, if even with this lightened hammer, with a bigger diameter, beefier drive spring, the weight of the hammer might not be as important. What do you guys think? I don't know. Not gonna see it in this video. Obviously, I'm gonna have to run through some tests here, and I don't have the correct spring to properly fit this, but I'm gonna run what I brung and see if I can't get that velocity back up, because my high was 37 and it should just hang out there, but it kept settling back down, and it wants to be at 30. That's just the magic number. And there's only so much of this little spring you can jam in there, because it compresses up. It has to compress up enough to catch your sear, and yeah, I mean, that's just it. We're very limited by this piddly little thing here. And the coil spacing isn't ideal. Even these Tech T ones, I mean, the coil spacing's fatter, but once they're compressed and they're sitting there, I'm gonna have the same problem as I have. And I've tested Tech T springs, I've tested very variety of Tippmann springs from other markers in here, but I haven't done this. That's it.